Welcome to episode 176 of the Junkies Podcast. I am your host, Jason Becker. I hope you all had a great weekend. I myself went out to Clearwater for our annual district conference for the American Welding Society. And so once a year, the sections meet up to finalize the business in our district. We vote on various items, finalize scholarship awards because AWS gives out a ton of scholarships, especially for students seeking welding training. You can apply for the Welding Training Scholarship. We give these away at section, district, and national levels. So one of the things we have to do at the district is vote, analyze all these scholarships and find out who's going to get a scholarship for that year. We also talk about different ways to improve our sections and our district as a whole. And then we also have the opportunity to network with some of the folks from the other sections. So I'm part of District 5, so it's people all the way from South Carolina, Georgia, parts of Alabama, and then pretty much all of Florida. So it's a massive section. We all get to meet up and spend some time together, network, talk about different things as it relates to welding and, how they're doing things at their section and just get some insights, how to make things better, how to shore up the welding community. It's just a great time with like-minded people. And once the meeting concluded, I had the opportunity to take my family around Clearwater. We went over to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, which is actually pretty cool. So that's the home of Winter the Dolphin. So it's a pretty neat area. Once that was over, we went out to dinner, did some shopping. All in all, it was a great weekend. So if you ever have a chance to, join a section or, attend a section meeting, I highly recommend it. And if you're not familiar with what section meetings are, what they do, what their purpose is, go ahead and check out this month's episode of Weld Wednesday, where I sit down and chat with Daryl Gashler about the different benefits of attending a section meeting. In today's episode of the Junkies Podcast, I'm chatting with Tyler Sasse and Danny Keiderling of Western Welding Academy out of Gillette, Wyoming. We discuss the national shortage of skilled trade workers, not just welders, and why getting into the skilled trades is a worthwhile investment in your time and resources. This is also the first episode that I ever recorded video, so if you'd like to see the video version of this, it should be out shortly on the Western Welding Academy YouTube channel, so make sure to swing by YouTube, subscribe to their channel, give them a thumbs up. Today's episode of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Fronius USA, and for the month of June, they have a great deal for listeners of the Junkies Podcast. This month, when you buy a Transsteel 2200 compact welding machine, you get a free rolling hard side case to go along with it when you go to shopweldingsupplies.com/ArcJunkies. This tool case is a $200 value. That's right, just head over to the website, put the Transsteel 2200 machine and the tool case in your cart, and use ArcJunkies in the discount box at checkout. It's that easy. And you get the free tool case to go along with it. Plus, free shipping. Now you can take your machine on the go for all your portable welding needs. The Transsteel 2200 is a compact 3-in-1 solution. It's the first single-phase inverter power source from Fronius that is also a multi-process capable machine, bringing together stick, MIG, and TIG in a single device. The Transsteel 2200 is characterized by its intelligent design of the device, ease of use, robustness, and a high level of reliability. Weighing in at only 34.2 pounds, it's one of the lightest multi-process machines on the market. It's highly portable and will run off up to 300 foot of extension cords without a loss of power. And the coolest part, in my opinion, is now you have the ability to weld MIG aluminum without the need for a spool gun. And you can run 1 pound or 11 pound spools without the need for an adapter. Head on over to shopweldingsupplies.com/ArcJunkies and get your Transsteel 2200 and free side case today with free shipping. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. Rockmount has a full line of abrasive, bits and blades, rods for shielded metal arc welding, brazing and soldering rods and accessories, flux core wires, hard-facing wires and rods and wear plates, MIG wires, TIG alloys, thermal cutting and gouging, and everything you need for repairing threads and bolt removal. Head on over to rockmountwelding.com and see where they can help you out to get your equipment back up and running. We all know that when your machine breaks, it's costing you money in more ways than one. Get your machine back in the game and making you money today, and get the job done right the first time, every time with Rockmount. They also have a great Instagram page where they demonstrate how to use many of their products, as well as show you the different applications where these rods and wires are going to shine. Follow them today at Rockmount Welding. And when you place an order, tell them the Arc Junkie sent you. We're also brought to you by Everlast Welders. If you've been on the fence about picking up an Everlast machine to start that side business or start your welding journey in your garage or small shop, I highly recommend you start with an Everlast. My all-time favorite machine is the Lightning MTS 275. It's a great multi-process welding machine that does it all. This thing's capable of MIG, AC and DC TIG with high frequency or lift start, stick welding, and flux core. Why spend twice the amount of money and buy 2 machines when you can get 1 machine and be done? You're saving money and space with this beast, and now you can finance one for as little as $69 a month. It's time to get off the fence and take advantage of these great machines and great prices. Check them out today at everlastwelders.com and use ARC Junkies in the comment section at checkout to get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch upgrade when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal and TIG torch. That's a $100 value. Are you heading to FabTech in Chicago this year? I know I am. Make sure you stop by the Northman Beer and Cider Garden to meet up with Stephanie Hoffman and myself at the AWS Arcs and Ale events on September 14th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'll drop a link in the show notes that you can RSVP. All right, you know what time it is. Fire up your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
You're listening to the ARC Junkies Podcast. Helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. Now your host, Jason Becker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ARC Junkies Podcast. Joining me today is Tyler Sasse and Danny Keiderling with Western Welding Academy in Gillette, Wyoming. How you guys doing today?
Good, buddy. How you doing, Jason?
Much better now that I got the damn intro right.
Yeah. Good times. Good times.
So welcome to the show, guys. I mean, you guys have a pretty cool program over there. Not only that, you're pretty heavily involved with social media. I see you guys on the TikTok, the Instagram. I mean, you're all over the place. So why the hell would you want to get out of pipe welding, making the money you were making, and decide to build a school? And I can tell you guys get this question all the time because you're chuckling about it. I've seen it on TikTok, but I mean, what was it that drew you out of the field and into the classroom dealing with a bunch of millennials?
Man. We ask ourselves, honestly, that question. That question comes up right down in the heart, from time to time. But so, I mean, I founded it, and to be totally transparent and wide open, honest, I had no desire. But my wife, she's bless her sweet little heart. She was pretty persistent that I get off the road and quit traveling. And I was welding for Pipeliner 798, and we were all over the country. And I got 3 kids, so that's not really an option when the kids are starting to get older. And so she was pretty adamant that I do something different. And this was actually her idea, quite honestly.
Really?
Yeah. And then as we were getting along, because I kind of got the thing rolling and we were going and moving, we had some students on campus but I just couldn't find, really like good, talented people can make so much money. And so
why the hell would they want to teach?
Yeah. Why would you want to teach, And so, Danny stopped by a couple of times and I said, hey, Danny, look, you know what I mean? You need to join me and be my partner. And I've got a couple of partners. Nathan Ponder, one of our other really, really good instructors here. He's also a part owner of our whole operation. And so, we've just been moving and shaking ever since, and Danny probably has a little different side of the story, of course, because he come in after we've been kind of going for a few months, but that's how we started, essentially. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, Danny, what made you want to join up? I mean, did you guys know each other? Did you work out in the field together beforehand? Or is it just some, like typical, some weird redheaded dude rolling up to your shop and saying, hey, man, what are you guys doing over here? What's with all the flashing lights?
Yeah, I think it was the beard, honestly. He's seen the beard, and he's just like, I got to have this. He's like that.
That's usually an in wherever you go.
Yeah, no, he contacted me, or I contacted him about a welding machine, and kind of just grew like a relationship through social media. And I checked the school out one day, and I was a welder foreman at the time, so it took me a little while to tie up the current project I had at a gas plant. And I was like, sounds really corny, but I never really had help when I was younger to become a real welder, a pipe welder. So I learned everything the extreme hard way, because I'm not the most talented person in the world like some of the guys I've seen. So it took me a long time, and I just know that pain. And I was like super passionate about helping out this organization and building it and doing it the right way. Cause if I would have had that help, I would have just excelled farther in life, faster and better. And so, he contacted me, and I just loved what he was doing. I struggled with some lower end welding schools that weren't really passionate about pipe welding. Got in some freaking heated arguments with my welding instructor, actually, about him wanting me to be a structural welder. And I said, I want to weld pipe. He didn't even know there was a hole in the middle of pipe. And so long story short, I was like
call that
super
O-beam.
passionate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
O-beam.
That O-beam. He didn't.
Good old O-beam, man.
So that's
that's really cool.
We started.
And it kind of ties back to like you did a TikTok video the other day. I don't know if it was the other day, but I seen it on your Instagram reel. Because you guys are pretty, like I said, you guys post pretty heavily on both the platforms. That, somebody asked in the comment section, why would I want to go to a welding school, versus getting on the pipe or getting out in the field and faking it till you make it. And you brought up a really valid point. If you go out there and you fake it till you make it, you get locked up with one guy. You're only learning what he's able to teach you. But if you go to a welding school, you get a bunch of different teaching strategies. Yeah. You learn all the little tricks and nuances about welding from, a few instructors instead of just one.
Yeah.
So, I think that's very beneficial there. That, and it's structured. So, when you're going through there, there's like a set plan, there's a set curriculum. So you're teaching them everything they need to know versus, when you're out in the field, you're just, it comes in at a trickle,
yes.
Versus turning that garden hose wide open. You're getting whatever's relevant to the, what you're doing at the time.
Yeah.
So you're spending a lot more time out in the field than you would in the class.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. We're checking all the boxes, right? And one thing that really, in 2015, the bottom just completely fell out of the oil market. And our instructors come from all backgrounds, all walks of life. And going back to 2015, when the oil you couldn't buy a job. You could not buy a pipe welding job, anything that was related in energy. You know what I mean? Of course, you could make some money, computer chips and manufacturing and some of those other plant work. But, and I had buddies that were losing their houses and couldn't make the truck payments. But I could weld stainless. And I ain't kidding you. I fell right back into a job. A contractor called me just in a 9-line bind. Couldn't find anybody that welds stainless pipe. And I've got a pipe fitting background as well. So doing the layout and the blueprint reading and drawing and all the isometrics, I literally was knocking down $12,000 a week, and I was paying $2,000 to my helper. And here I'm hustling them for $10,000 a week. You know what I mean? And you couldn't buy a job at the time in the energy. You know what I mean? There's always been welding jobs. If you can weld, then you're multi-talented. And that was kind of the biggest thing with by going to the field and helping another welder. He's not, like you said, he's not checking all the boxes. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that we're really, really conscientious of we want to teach skills and abilities that are immediately, like, there's employers out there looking to purchase these skills every single day. Yeah. You got to be, talented in all these different areas. But just to be just a downhill welder, that's just not good enough. Yeah. You need to be able to check all the boxes.
And that's kind of how, when I decided, when I got recruited to come in and teach the first time, I was like, what the hell do I teach, man? There's a set curriculum through the state of Florida, but it's like, this is the same shit that I learned back in 1998, when I went through welding school. Yeah, now I'm kind of dating myself. I think it was 97, 98, somewhere in there. But it's the same stuff that I was taught, and it's like, nobody's oxyacetylene welding anymore. Why are we teaching that? Yeah. And then there's a lot of things that are going on out in the field. Like, why isn't a lot of this stuff that's actually being done in this curriculum? It's like, because somebody that, had a half-ass idea and they grabbed a couple of textbooks and, they got textbook lobbyists in there and they're like, this is what you need to teach. Well, yeah, but so that was kind of my idea is, like, I went around, the first school I taught at was out in Sanford, Florida. So I went around to all the industry. It's like, hey, introduce myself. Hey, we'll set up a welding program. What skills do you guys need? What are you looking for? What type of welding?
Yeah.
And then I was making sure that I was teaching that, so that when the students got out, they could get a job anywhere in that local area. And then since then, I've just kind of expanded that ring, that network, and find out, what other skills are people looking for. We started incorporating new stuff into our program. different advanced processes like STT and all that.
Yep.
We do a little bit of sub-arc welding because there's a couple employers in the area that, they need people that can sub-arc, although that's like a one-day class. But hell, at least they're exposed to it,
Yes. Absolutely.
And then they understand how to set up the equipment. So, I mean, that's kind of like how I built and structured my program. Do you guys have like an advisory board, or do you speak with local industry, or you guys just have enough connections to say, here's what they're looking for right now, this is what we're going to teach in the program?
Yeah, we when we were building our curriculum, I actually had this conversation earlier today because we're getting ready to launch a pipe fitting curriculum, and we're going through the same pain. There's a 100 opportunities out there, or options. You can purchase a curriculum.
Turnkey.
Yes, right, and I solve all your problems. But we looked at that in the very beginning, and it's just not worth it because, like you said, why would we teach oxyacetylene welding? Nobody uses that anymore. I mean, and so we just by scratch, we just took the end product of like, what's the most employable dude What are all the skills that he possesses? And then we worked our way backwards. Well, how do you get him to that point in this amount of time? And we've built everything from scratch. Just good old blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I mean?
Right.
Long days and Saturdays, and Danny and I have had a lot of 2 a.m. moments of, you know what I mean? You're just so tired, you go in and go to sleep. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of work that we're really passionate about doing, is because there's a lot of people doing this. You know what I mean? But we want to do it different. We want to do it better. We're not satisfied with second place. We want to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, like whenever we do anything, we're like, what are we going to do on the job? What, how is that guy going to be employable when we do that? And we just look at ourselves. And the coolest thing about that, when you're like, no one does this oxyacetylene welding anymore. No one does it. And the coolest thing about us is we have like some very, very salty, talented instructors. Our instructors, like we got such a broad horizon on everything that we do that we can cover like literally anything anyone can ever imagine to mold 2 pieces of iron together with welding rod. It's crazy the amount of knowledge that we got with just our instructors, different walks of life, like Tyler was said. And to where if one way doesn't work for you, if you can't figure it out, it's not for you. You need like a new set of eyeballs or something. It's just so crazy the different views we can just take something and someone and mold them into a welder.
Yeah. I think the coolest ability is like not being tied down, because like the program that we run, I'm not confined to the curriculum of the state, which I love that part. And my administration has pretty much given me free reign.
Yeah.
Like you're the welding instructor or the program manager now, put something together that works. And, as long as, we got success stories coming out, people are getting jobs, people are, they're taking a step up in life. You're doing your job. That's how we're going to base, the success of your program.
Absolutely.
So I love having the ability to, having an employer come in and like take a tour of our facility and be like, this is the type of work that we do where we're at.
Yep.
Can you guys teach this? Well, yeah, I've got everything around here. I might need to order some specialty rods, or if you guys have some material you can donate, so we do that a lot of times. We'll get donations from the companies, and we're training students on the exact material they're going to be welding once they get hired. Yeah. And it just makes sense. You're not going to find that on page 32 of the textbook, because it's rigid. This is how it has to be taught. I like having that ability to be fluid and teach them new things. And you walk in and every day is a little bit different than the day before. And it's like, oh shit, you know what? Hey guys, check this out. Here's a story about a time I used this, and you kind of show them that real world experience right there. You can do it right on scene. And it's not part of the curriculum. It's not chiseled in there, but they're still learning new information, stuff that's going to help them once they get out.
Yeah.
Textbook.
Textbook.
Every student asks us that. Is there any textbooks that go with this course?
Yeah.
And they like look at me like with big eyes, and they're like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, no, it's all right, bro. Like, yes, we got a curriculum, but that you do on your own time, like home classes, like you learn at your own speed with actual knowledge that you're going to need out there in the field. And then you come in here when your pipe fitter phase is whatever, and you actually come in here and do it hands on. And so, textbooks. I just laugh when you said textbooks, because like, they're like, do you got one? No, the textbook is the job.
Yeah. Well, and simulators too, we're really, one of the things that I ask the instructing team every single week is what were some of the challenges that you faced in the field when you got there? What were you mad about? Well, if somebody would have just showed me this, right? Like if I would have just known this little trick, or and without fail, every single week they're like, well, hey, and I'm like, no, write it down, and let's make sure we're carrying that and passing that forward. You know what I mean? Like solve those issues of how to weld high-low on thin wall stainless. I mean, nobody prepped me for that. You know what I mean? It just chapped me when I had to bust an x-ray on the job to figure it out, you know, and like we got this is the, you know, we can prepare these people for that, you know? And so we do that exact thing of fitting up a bad fit up and show them how to weld a bad fit up. You know, ideally you wouldn't have that, but it's real world. You're going to have that in the field, you know? So,
right.
Yeah, the simulators and we got a pipe rack simulator, you know, a couple of mirror welding simulators, all kinds of different pipe fitting arrangements and confined space welding. I mean, that's one of the things that we've really tried to focus on is recreate the situation that they're going to have in the field over and over.
Right.
You know.
No, that's cool. And I think documenting it, like you said, when your instructors have a good idea or they got something they want to teach, you know, document that, write it down so that we can use that on the next class. Yeah. Because if that situation doesn't arise, we're never going to bring it up. We're never going to reteach that.
Yep.
You know, but if we got it documented, we can file that into, you know, hey, week 3 when we're dealing with this, we're gonna set this situation up and let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so documented. What the students get, the curriculum and documentation on like all the littlest procedures you can imagine, even the tricks. You could damn near learn to weld by yourself off of just this Western Welding Academy curriculum.
Well, yeah, because we revisit the data, right? Like having the solid connection with our graduates, and then because you know, I mean, it's just like a knife. You got to keep that thing sharp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And constant feedback from the field, the graduates in the field, and then we revisit our curriculum. And unlike anybody that we have yet to see anybody has a curriculum set up like ours. Ours is set up to where it's got man hours attached, just like a job. When you bid a job, you bid the structural steel, the concrete, the building, the roof, the piping, the fittings, the bolt up, the vessels, you know, and you've got man hours attached to every little piece of that. Well, on the welding skills, we attach man hours to every little piece of what it takes to get to that end goal. And you know, we teach work ethic here essentially because they're constantly being measured. I have X amount of hours to learn this skill, and then they can't go on until the instructor signs them off. And so you see, like you said in the beginning, millennials, right? You know, you know, our youth just does not have that hard-nosed drive and hustle, and that's not acceptable, right? We're competing on a global scale here, like. Trust me, China will build it. You know what I mean? Pakistan, India. I mean, some of these other countries, you know, they're going to build it. And why? Like that? Nobody's coming. We gotta fix this. We gotta solve this issue. And so that's one of the ways that, you know, we're doing a lot of things to help solve that. But this is the biggest thing, is giving that daily feedback metric. You know, you see them come in, and you know they want it, but when they're being measured every single day, and they're seeing like, man, I'm not hitting the bar, right? I gotta step that hustle up a little bit. That time management, you know, is a proper way of saying it. But the employers love that because they hit the ground. I mean, they're running. They got the skills, but they've also got the whole awareness attitude. Show up to work 15 minutes early, work all day. You know what I mean? And be accountable. Like, how many welds did you get? How much did you get done? You know what I mean? Because they're just used. That's our system. Like what are you doing in life, and how are you being measured? With the youth, it's just not there. And that's one of the things that we've really tried to solve. Like, we get tours. You know, people fly in all over the country coming to our facility. Parents bringing their kids, and you know, that's one of the things that I tell them. Look, to learn to weld is inevitable. There's a whole host of other things that we're really focused on. The welding that's going to happen. You come here and give us your blood, sweat, and tears, but we're going to make a hand out of you. You know what I mean? You're going to be a hand all in with everything that we're wrapping up in that. And that's what I think really sets us apart. I think
the welding's a secondary skill set.
It is, you know, and I mean, that's our passion, but like, we got to teach them all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
First and foremost, because you can be the best welder in the world, but if you can't show up and work all day and you can't pass a drug test, like, you're just not really good at that employer. You know?
I'm glad we speak the same language, man. I tell my students that all the time. Like, you can be the best because you get those students, you know, and they get cocky because they're doing really well. You know, they're passing their certification tests, and then all of a sudden they think they can slack off in a little bit, you know, and they're like, well, you know, I did all the stuff that I'm supposed to do, and, you know, I'm the best welder in the class. And I don't give a shit. You can be the best welder in the class, but if you don't show up, you ain't worth a damn to me. Yeah. Same thing with an employer. And it was my first job out of the Marine Corps that I heard the boss man say that, because we had a dude that he was just jam up, man. Awesome dude. I mean, like, really good at what he did. Like, I mean, called him Spider-Man. He was all over the place. But he had a hard time showing up. You know, he'd get 4 out of 5 days a week, you know, and if we were working OT, you know, doing 7/12s, he's definitely not showing up after payday until Monday morning. And the boss man said, you know, he's like, I'm probably gonna have to let him go. And I was like, you'd really fire him? He's like, he's the best hand you got. He's like, he ain't worth a damn if you don't show up. And I was like, damn, if he's not immune to it, you know, I'm not taking a day off. And I mean, that just put more work ethic into me.
That's right. A 19-year-old kid, if this guy isn't worth it, what's a 19-year-old kid worth to you? You know what I mean? And that's half the battle, showing up and making a hand. Yeah.
Yep.
80% of the battle is won by just showing up, just getting there.
Yeah.
Just being there. Just be there and be a good person and be there ready to work. You know, you got all your tools. Yep. Oh, I forgot my boots at the house. What can I do? You can run down to the store, you can buy a new pair, or you can run home and you know, try again tomorrow, you know, but I don't know what to tell you. You ain't going to my welding lab without them. It's like, how do you forget that? Like, here's an easy way to not forget your work boots. Put them on when you're on your way to work. Like, before you walk out of the house, put your work boots on, because that's where you're going. If I'm going to the beach, I don't put my work boots on and then switch over to flip-flops.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to work, put your damn work boots on.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the drug test is the same thing. You know, I tell them all the time, look, you guys are going to have to take 2 tests, maybe 3 when you leave here. You know, you get to take a weld test, probably a tape measure test or a general knowledge test, and you got to take a drug test. Easiest test you're ever going to pass the easiest test you can pass is the drug test. You start studying right now, I guarantee you, by the time you're done with this 20-week program, you'll be able to pass that test. No questions asked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We actually drug test.
Yeah, we random drug
Put
test.
the pipe down.
Yeah. Yep. And every now and then we get one that has a little slag in his PP, you know. But we random drug test them, absolutely. And it's random, you know. And we actually I was given orientation a few months back, and everybody's in the table, you know, and they're all filling out the paperwork, and this kid, he's like, hey, what does this may subject to a random drug test mean? I'm like, how do you read it? You know,
is there a typo?
I can't pass a drug test. So, well, you can't stay. Thanks for telling us that. But, you know, that's like, you know, if you read the contract and you read all of our intake stuff, I mean, this isn't a surprise, you know. We're very open about that. And so, because, like you said, that should be the easiest test you ever take, you know. Mind-blowing, really.
Yeah. And it's because I've had students come through my program and, like, we don't do drug testing, but, like, about halfway through the program, they start to realize that, oh shit, you know, if I want to get a job, you know, I gotta put the weed down, or, you know, you tell them, hey, look, man, it's nothing personal. This is all business. You know, you're not gonna be able to get a good job once you get out. I mean, I can get you a 12-hour welding job all day long, you know, but if you want to make some decent money, you're gonna have to take a piss test, and it's all liability. You know, it's not me, it's the employer. You know, that's what they're looking for. That's the product I got to turn out, and they'll actually. I've had a lot of students turn their lives around. They quit doing drugs, and you can tell because they start showing up on time. They're there every day. They're hustling. They're moving a little bit quicker back from the quench tank, you know? Yeah. They got a little bit more pep in their step.
Yeah.
And it changes a lot of them once they get in there and they develop that passion for it, you know? Because they realize, hey, this is a career for me. You know, I can do something with my life through the use of my hands. And I just got to put this one thing down to do it.
Yeah. But the rewards are unbelievable, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We get a lot of students like that. You change their life, like you said, the drugs, you know, or whatever. They see the bigger picture, and you can get them pulled out of that sometimes. Even just like we get young, really, really young men and women coming in here, and you see them come in here. They're really, really quiet, damn near cry sometimes on their first day because mom and dad, are leaving them for 6 months, and when they leave, they're you can see like as they start growing into a welder, it's almost it's comedic because they just you can see them get a little arrogant. They're like, yeah, I passed that test, and just start, and it's kind of cool. They grow up like, I don't know what welding does to a person, to a human. Like if it goes in your bloodstream and like makes you just kind of a dick or something, but it just kind of like changes people. It gives them some confidence, it's kind of funny, like that's what I tell all our students, like going back to that, changing their lives a little bit. You can't fix America from the outside. You can't do that. You got to fix it from the inside out,
Yeah.
Grassroots.
I think that, I think welding does that. I mean, I would imagine a lot of skilled trades do it, but the results are tangible. You can see it. It's not like you memorize the sentence in a textbook and you pick the right multiple guess answer and boom. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of reward to like a written test or anything like that. But like you grab that 7018 rod, you throw it in the stinger, you hook up your machine and everything, and you lay that bead in there and you slick it out and you cut it up and do a bend test. You're like, damn.
Yep.
Like I did that with my hands, and I get kids in the program that have never picked up a hand tool a day in their life unless it was to move it out of the way, right? Half of them coming, they don't know which end of the screwdriver to use.
Yep.
And then they do something, as big as that. And to a lot of people, they're like, welding certification, that's not a big deal. The hell it isn't. If you've come in and you don't know anything about welding, and now you're testing to a code-specific weld,
yep,
and you're passing it, that's something to be proud of. And, yeah, that's when they start getting a little cocky and a little arrogant, and you got to throw something else at them and humble them a little bit, and then they get cocky again once they get over that hump. But, yeah, I think that, welding does that to them because you can see the results. You can touch the results and feel it, and you get a sense of pride and ownership. That, hey, I did that. I didn't know anything about welding, 4 weeks ago, and here I am, just God's gift to welding. Now I'm the the golden arm.
Golden arm.
But I mean, they get that sense of pride with it, and it helps a lot of them grow up. And it's always funny to see, it's because our whole program is 40 weeks, so we'll get a student that comes through our level 1 basic. And then they go on into level 2 of the advanced program. And then when they graduate, you can watch them grow up right before your very eyes in the course of 40 weeks. They come in as young men or, young boys and girls, and they leave as men and women, over the course of 6 months. And it's just a really cool transition to see that.
Yeah.
Dude, welding's the king of trades.
Literally.
It is.
Right there.
It's king of trades.
So what do you guys start off with as far as like in the beginning of the program? I mean, do you start off with safety, equipment setup and troubleshooting? I mean, like what's like week 1 look like over at Western Welding Academy?
Burn and rod. I mean, day one, of course, there's orientation, but our students walk into that shop once we've explained all the safety rules. We've got a couple of rules, the golden rules we call them. Violate these, and you're out of here. You know what I mean? We don't have many, but we've got a few, and pretty much day one, they're in the booth. We show them, give them a rundown on how the welding machine works, and they start laying beads on plate, flat, 60-10. You know what I mean? It's a little bit. There's a lot more fire with the 60-10, and so it kind of shakes them into this reality of, hey, this is my life. You know what I mean? And we find that it just weeds out the one that are never going to make it right there. You know what I mean? Within the first week, and we don't have many that leave. I mean, they're pretty committed. 98% of our students actually come from out of state. And so if you're gonna travel 20 hours, you want it. You know what I mean? You're willing to put in the hard work. And that's one thing that we've been really, really blessed with so many of them coming from out of state. It's their level of commitment, because to be a great pipe welder, you're gonna travel. And if you're willing to travel to go learn that skill, your chances of you being willing to, travel for the job is
got some coming from over the puddle in Hawaii even.
That's
dedication. Boating his rig all the way from Hawaii to California and driving it up.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Now, do you guys have rolling up or students rolling up with an actual welding rig already?
Sometimes, yeah.
And you let them weld off those machines and all?
Yeah. 5-10% of them. I mean, not a ton, but yeah. I mean,
we even got a small percentage of just full grown men that want to learn how to TIG weld from us, and maybe even downhill a little better. They come and they're full business owners coming in, and we teach them a little bit. And a lot of them have welding rigs. I mean, they get a weld off our welding rigs if we like them. Mm-hmm. If we trust them, trust them to check that oil and feel it up at the end of the shift. We got actually a lineup of engine drives outside. It's same technology as a wall machine, but there's something about that. Something feels a bit different about something with a diesel engine or a gas engine making loud noises and rattling while you're welding.
Right. and this has always been my personal feel is like, you got multi-process machines that are usually in the shop. So you can do all your stick, TIG, and MIG, and then you get your engine drives. That sucker was built to do one thing and one thing only, especially if you got just a regular, constant current machine. Yeah. That's all it knows how to do, and it does it extremely well.
It does. Yeah.
And then you take a multi-process machine, you're like, okay, here's a little bit of constant current, here's some constant voltage, here's some, advanced multiple, solid wire processes, and here's some flux core you need to shove all this crap in there. It does a lot of things pretty okay.
Yep.
But an engine drive, it's like, it's a jack of all trades, master of none. And that engine drive is like, I come here to, lay rod and that's it, or you can hook up a suitcase to it. Yeah. And so it does it extremely well. And I've got students that, we'll go through the program and then, inside with the multi-process machines, and then we'll go outside and be like, all right, I'm going to show you how to do the engine drive. Yep. Go through, here's how you do the maintenance. Like Danny said, check the oil, check the fuel, make sure everything's good, dial it in, let's weld with this. And, they strike an arc and run a bead, and they're like, holy shit, that weld's completely different. Well, yeah, it does to an extent. Yeah. But then they want it. They're like, hey, can I run my test on this? Yeah. There's no reason you can't. So I got a lot of them that, they'd rather weld outside off the engine drive than do it inside, which is perfect because that's the element where you're going to be working. You want to get into structural steel iron because, that's what we have a lot where we're at. Perfect. Yeah, go out in the parking lot when it's 100 degrees in July and stand out there in full leathers in your hood and, your gloves and all that stuff and weld. Yes, do that, please.
Do that. Yep. Yeah. Real world. Yeah.
That's what we do. Every student, they don't just get, every welder loves a certain welding machine. Something about a good welding machine, they just freaking in love with that certain special machine, whether it be a engine drive or one in the shop that they just like. Could be ugly, could be brand new. The students do that. They like a certain machine, but we swap them from different ones. Millers, Lincolns.
Got to.
Old ugly machines that freaking dim the lights when you turn the switch on. Just because a real welder conforms himself to a welding machine, not conform that welding machine to them. Because you don't know what you're going to get when you go out there and go work in a plant, work in a shop that's been there since the 1950s and the machine that they started with day one. So we do that with these students. We got state of the art, and we got just not bottom end, but older machines. They might not even have a lot of arc force or in arc force in general. So we kind of teach them both sides of things and definitely keep them on their toes.
That's the best way to do it too, because once they get out in industry, if that's all they know is how to fire up that Lincoln machine and run it, and they show up to a job first day and they're like, all right, you're here for your weld test? Okay, go ahead. Weld machines are over there. You talk with the inspector and they walk over there and like, oh shit, this one's blue.
Yeah.
What? Oh, damn. And then you get a phone call. You're like, hey, they got a completely different type of welding machine out here. What do I do?
Yeah.
Turn it on, set your amps, and then go to town.
Yep.
They get hung up on that because you're right, man. I get them, and they like a specific booth because that welding machine's in there, and they don't want to give it up.
Yep.
I'll pry them out. We'll do a raffle. Put a bunch of numbers in a hat and be like, all right, today you're in booth number 7. Pick a number. Yeah. And just switch them up because otherwise. If you leave them to their own devices, they're going to stay in that booth the entire time. They're like, this is my booth. No, the hell it is. Move over here. Try this machine over here. Because it's going to weld a little bit different. You have to be able to adjust to that. Every machine's going to weld a little bit different. I've got, the C300s. I got 6 of them. And not one of them runs the exact same as the other. Yep. They're all a little bit off. One might run a little bit hotter. One might run a little bit colder. You got to be able to adjust that. Yep. And kind of work with the equipment you're given.
Yeah.
And I'll screw with them. I'll go over there and put electrical tape over the digital display and say, okay, go ahead and set your wire speed and voltage.
Yeah.
Oh shit, how do I do that? So you teach them how to do these things.
Yep.
Yeah. You get out into a shop and it's like, well, that's machines from 10 years ago. The LED display quit working about 6. We just, turn it to the little black, the black Sharpie mark on there and let it rip. Yeah. You got to teach them how to do this stuff because otherwise they freak out, especially if there's like a weld test on the line. They get choked up.
Yep. All that pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. That's been the same experience we've had. Yeah. Yeah. We're actually kind of anti-digital readout intentionally. So we've set the machines outside. Any digital readout machines, we've set them outside of the booth, and then we run remote leads in because we want them to get that real feel of what it should look like. Not who cares what the machine says, that thing might be 40 amps off. It doesn't matter. What should the puddle look like when you're at the correct amperage, within the procedure. So,
yeah.
And that machine ain't going to be next to you on the job. Not always. Yeah. They might fly it up in a crane, 100 stories up, and then you might have to spool out 100 stories of lead. It's not 100 amps is not 100 amps at the end of the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking with Rob Tessier the other day on the podcast that, you roll out all this lead, like, especially like when I did ironwork, we'd take the machine and either leave it in the back of the truck or pick it up with the crane, and you tie it up to the bar joist so the crackheads don't steal it. But, you put it up and out of the reach. But then, you got 200-300 foot of welding lead, run off of there, and you got your ground clamp hooked onto a piece of rebar, and you're welding bar joists and decking over here, and you have no idea what your machine's set at.
Yep.
So you gotta learn to be really versatile with it. You set it to 1 amperage, and you go to town running your 60-10, 70-18, and 60. Well, not 60-22 because you got to do the straight polarity on that. But for the most part, you just up 5, turn me up 5, turn me down 5. You have no idea what that machine is set at. Yeah. You're just reading the puddle.
Yep, reading the puddle.
And the only way you're going to get that is hood time. You can't do that through the virtual welders and all that other stuff and having, the machine right there at your feet. Because it's just easy to reach over and make an adjustment. You got to learn how to, maybe I need to decrease my travel speed. Like I told students the other day, they're like, hey, I'm running this route, on pole spray, and I'm running it like 225 inches a minute. Is that good? Because I see, little Timmy over here, he's running at like 235 inches a minute. It's like, you'll be fine. You can actually achieve the same heat input by changing your travel speed. So if you're running a lower wire feed speed settings, lower amperage, slow down a little bit.
Yep.
And if you're running a little bit hotter, you might have to speed up a little bit. You don't have to adjust your machine every time you run a pass. Make adjustments on the fly as you're going through technique.
Yeah. Yep.
85 amps.
Yeah. That always pisses me off. Yeah. You got
do what?
85 amps. That's all. Well, we always kind of smack talk the YouTube welders. We're going to run 85 amps. Well, no, like not all root passes run at 85 amps, 500 foot of lead, 5 foot of lead. That's 2 dual lead, a Lincoln
completely
machine, a 40-year-old Miller machine. I mean, 85 amps is not the one stop, you're absolutely right. It's what feels good and what adjustments do we need to make, Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And I think reading that puddle is like one of the biggest teaching tools you can give them.
Yeah.
I took my very first pipeline test. I was 19 years old. An inspector almost busted me out. He came up and I never knew what he's doing. He goes right on my welding machine. Actually, that reminds me. He goes on my welding machine and he puts his voltmeter right on the leads off the machine. And he's like, man, you're running way too hot. And I'm like, shoot, okay. And I start turning it down and he's like, dude, you're way too hot. You can't do that. And I'm like, he was busting me out. And I was like, shoot, like I would have probably given up on welding or at least high-end pipe welding at that point. I was 19 years old. And the old welder came over there. He's like, this thing's got 200 foot of lead. He's grumpy old man. Goes over there. He's like, see, it's got a disc. He's like, check it at the freaking stinger. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like the inspector, he was pissed. I can't believe. Anyway, at the end, when we're all done, he goes and tests it. He's like, oh, okay, that's good enough, I guess. And he walks away.
He wasn't taking into account the voltage drop. Yeah.
And I passed that test because that old welder that knew had been on a job for, he's been welding long. He'd been welding longer than I had been alive. And I passed that test, just that knowledge right there that we're talking about right there, just kind of how we run our school too.
Yeah, because depending on how long that cable is and the diameter of cable you're running, what shape is it in? Did somebody drop some stuff on it? Is it severed halfway through somewhere? You could have a lot of voltage drop between where the machine's at and where the actual arc voltage is coming out on that plate or pipe that you're welding up on.
Yeah,
it's completely different.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that with the computer now. I worked for Miller Electric up there in Appleton, Wisconsin, as a consultant. I was on the design team that built Dynamic Dig, and we at that time, this has been a few years. I don't necessarily want to go to divulging Miller's industry secrets or anything, but at that time we were looking at an option of incorporating software to take in account the voltage drop on the lead, a little feedback loop that comes back on the meter. And we built something that was pretty cool. It never did get released because there were some other underlying issues about it. But I mean, there's some technology. I think in the next, 10, 15 years, there will be something that comes on the market that takes in account all these different factors. It just makes it easier and easier. But yeah, I mean, until then, I mean, we just keep doing the welder thing and making the hand adjustments, hand-eye coordination and puddle reading. And
I thought that welders are going to be a thing of the past someday.
No.
That's what they say.
No.
That's what I was told when I started welding school. Like, my instructor looked at me and he was on the verge of retirement, and he's an awesome guy. But I mean, like everybody else in the industry back then, he's like, I don't know why you want to pick this up as a trade, man. Welding's a dying art, and here I am 24 years later teaching the same shit, Yeah. It's like, I guess we ain't dead yet.
Yeah. I had to, when I first broke out, I was 18 years old on a job, and I was welding this 24-inch with this old salty sunbuck, and I there's a lot of jealousy when you're talented and you've made the welding test, and then and I didn't really think about it at the time, but there's a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-old men that have tried to be welders, and they couldn't for one reason or another, and they turn into these, we call them welder haters, and a lot of it's just jealousy, really, that they couldn't master that. And so I'm welding with this old man. He's welding one half the pipe and I'm welding the other. And this guy comes walking up to me, and I just lifted my hood and I was reaching over to grab another rod. And this guy looks at me and he's like, you like doing that job? Or said something like, that job's going away. That your job will not exist in another 5 years. And I was like, oh, well, what pissed in your Wheaties? You know what I mean? Like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't even say anything, I just like, okay, whatever, dude, And he walks off, and before I could put my hood back down, that old man on the other side of the pipe, I could hear him chuckling. And he lifts his hood up and he said, son, and he was like in his 60s. He said, son, they told me that when I was your age too. And he says, I'm still here doing the same thing,
Yeah.
Robots are not taking over, it's not happening.
I don't see it happening. I mean, and everybody gets freaked out about automation with robots and everything, and like the Buggo automated welding systems. And it's like, it's not going to take your job. If anything, it's going to make your job a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because now you're not pulling the trigger. You're just dialing in the settings, because
I've
ran Buggo systems. Yeah, I've run Buggo systems a lot. It's, at the end of the day, your back's not going to hurt as much, because you're not crawling around on your knees trying to tie two pieces of plate together. You just like the old Ronco rotisserie, man. You set it and forget it, but you got to be the one to dial it in.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can't dial it in worth a shit, it ain't going to weld, decent.
Yeah.
You're the one that's got to sit there. You got to be with the arc and watch it. You're still controlling all the settings. Wire speed, wire feed speed, voltage, contact tip to work distance, the shielding gas flow. I mean, you got to be on top of that. Yeah. You can't just take some punk off the street and do that, right? So it's not taking your job and giving it to somebody else. You still have to know how to do that. And that's still, a required set of tools that it's going to be worth something. Yeah. It's going to be worth money.
Yeah.
Just you having the ability to do that. Because the guy that, from accounting, old Chuck in there that bought it, he damn sure isn't going to come out here and weld it. They're still going to have to hire a freaking welder. Same thing with these, automated processes with robotics and stuff. They still need somebody to program that first weld. That machine's dumb. It doesn't know what, you got to teach it what to do.
Yes.
So you got to have that knowledge to be able to teach that thing. Okay, this is the appropriate travel angle, work speed, like all this stuff. You have to be able to do that as the welder.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're not putting the gun in the hand, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's saving wear and tear on your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still don't think that they're going to replace that out in the field. I mean, it's just not feasible as far as price. I mean, look at, the TIG systems that you clamp onto the outside of a pipe. I mean, how much does that system cost to get out there? I mean, how much by the time you get the damn thing set up, you could already ran your root in there.
Yes.
I mean, it's for other applications. Yes, I can see that it's worth. And it's a better option in some situations, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be work for welders.
Always. Yeah.
Especially and then repair work. Yeah.
Especially
and repair work.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do repair work and custom fabrication and all that stuff. I don't see that getting automated. It's too expensive. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's going to take too much time to set everything up. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Arc Junkies podcast is brought to you by Strong Hand Tools. Head on over to stronghandtools.com/arcjunkies and see how they can make your shop and fabrication life easier, more accurate, and more productive with all of their cool and innovative tools and accessories. They have everything you need for fixturing, clamping, and holding down parts and materials to keep everything square, even, and in position during the welding and fabrication process. That's stronghandtools.com/arcjunkies. We're also brought to you by AHP Welders. Check them out today at ahpwelds.com and get into welding right now for under $1,000. Right now is a great time to pick up an Alpha TIG 225XI or the 203XL. Both of these are great machines for under $800 and are capable of AC and DC, stick and TIG welding. AHP machines are great for the home hobbyists and students looking to put in extra hood time at the house. And right now, when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal, you can use Arc Junkies in the comment section at checkout and get a free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch upgrade. It's a $100 value. Just head on over to ahpwelds.com. Now let's get back into the show. It's same thing with the automated lawnmowers and stuff like that. That'll mow your yard. Same thing with the Roomba and everything. I mean, you got to like program it to do, the area. You still got to program it.
Yep. And
I mean, with that, you only got to program it once, but.
Yep. And all that stuff gets engineered 5 or 6 times, and welders start that process. They begin that process. They integrate that process. Everything about every single bit of manufacturing, it gets engineered, and they don't know what they're doing just as much as the rest of us. And so it takes about 5 tries on anything, just building a freaking vacuum.
Yeah.
It's got to be a welder who's going to start that plant that builds it. Even the shoes on your feet, the pipe, pipe runs through there. The oil, drill the oil. They take the oil out of the ground through pipe, through structural steel that holds it, and then it goes all the way through these plants. And then you get, in the end, you make some rubber, and then you make some plastic, and then you can make a Roomba vacuum or a lawnmower.
Yeah, we started doing student interviews with the people that are coming into our program just to make sure they're a good fit and make sure they have an idea of what they're getting ready to get into. Because you got people that think it. I saw welding on the Discovery Channel, and I think it'd be kind of a cool job to do. And then they get there and they realize that it's work. It's hot, heavy, and sharp. Yeah. And you gotta get up early in the morning. You gotta be there on time. You gotta be there every day. And I've noticed that since we started doing the interviews, like the caliber of the students that are coming into the program, it's getting better. Yep. So it's you got to bring them in when they've got some work ethic and they've got some drive and stuff like that. So I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to have that person to come in there, program the robot, the automation, swap out the wire, make sure that the filler metal's correct. You got to have the welder. They got to be there.
Yeah, you got to have a welder.
King of the trades, man.
King of the trades.
King of trades.
So tell me about this blue collar revolution that you guys are starting over there. I see you got I got a pair of them badass shades that you sent me. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's them right there.
You like them?
I do. I wear the shit out of them, man.
Yeah. Dude,
they're polarized.
When your future is that bright as a welder, you have to wear these shades or you'll go blind.
That's right.
Yeah. But it's not just it's not just a marketing type deal. I mean, you guys have like blue collar revolution is a thing.
Yeah. So part of that, you were just talking about it, and actually this is a kind of an extracurricular little pet project that I'm super passionate about because essentially, if we're going to compete on a global scale, we've got to change the ideal, in our society. For years, we've told our children, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be anything, and the trades have just massively suffered, and it's decreased our ability as a nation to really compete on a global scale because of our shortage in the skilled labor. It's not just welding, plumbers and electrician and iron workers and,
Iron workers are welders too.
They are. Yes, they are. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was going to say, you look like an iron worker, literally. You know what I mean? Like.
Let me get my spud wrench.
I mean, yeah.
Is there a spud crescent back there?
Oh yeah. I'm sure there is. Yeah.
I think it's over in my bolt bag.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the shortage in skilled labor has, it's hurt us as a nation. And, we were talking about like, well, what are we going to do? and I could talk for hours about this, where to even start. But the fact is, nobody is coming. It's up to people like myself, Danny, and you, Jason. We have to change our society and reshape it. And so this whole blue collar revolution it's a brand, but it's raising awareness. And it's a grassroots effort to reach out and hit these people when they're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, and educate them on what it means to be blue collar, the benefits of it. And it's not welding, welding is absolutely part of it, right? Because that is the king of trades. But to be an electrician and everybody needs the lights to come on when you hit the switch. Everybody wants to go and take a crap and have that thing like where does that turd go? It's got to go somewhere. We need a plumber.
You got to get that shit out of here.
Yeah, right. And so
you got to be proud about it. You got to be proud too of what you do.
Yeah, to be proud to be blue collar. You know what I mean?
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not a like for years we've kind of stereotyped it to be I couldn't afford college, so I went to be an electrician instead. No, guess what, Jack? The electrician is making double what that average college graduate is making. You know what I mean? It's a thing. This is a thing.
In his teens. He's making more money than a 30-year-old lawyer.
And the jobs are out there once you finish your training.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what we're doing is we're working with employers, we're working with high schools, and we're raising awareness, and a lot of times how we catch those people and just to is by stuff like this, the products of it, and branding things blue collar and hitting them with cool gear, right? Because they're like, oh man, that's kind of cool. What's the story behind that? Well, it's the blue collar revolution. It's grassroots and it's using social media and connecting all these dots to really just change the game and educate these young people and show them the power of being blue collar. And if we do that and we do that enough, we're going to really, really increase our ability to compete on a global scale. There's no reason why Intel should build a plant in Malaysia, right? Yeah. And you can go back and say, well, the day-to-day labor operating costs of this plant, the people that work in it. Nah, that's a thing, but that's small fry when it comes down to it. The reason they build a plant in Malaysia is because we just don't have the skilled workforce. Like labor is a commodity, and when you run shy of that, we're going to build it in Malaysia, because Malaysia, they saw this idea and they're doing something about it.
Well, the whole thing is, have you ever heard that saying, work smarter, not harder? Mm-hmm. That's bad to work hard. It's bad to work with your hands. And so, I want to build this plant in Malaysia. Well, that guy down there wants to, this guy doesn't. So they go to that guy in Malaysia. Yeah. And work smarter, not harder. Work smarter and work harder, because there's nothing is good enough. You know what I mean? You can't just work smarter and it's good enough. You got to just completely kill it every single day when you're out there, and that's hard work.
Work hard and get paid. That's what we should coin
make money.
Work hard, make money. Something. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. There you go. That should be
write
that down. Put that on my
luggage. That should be a slogan.
That seriously got killed years and years before I was even on this planet. They taught us everyone taught us that it's not all right to work, you know what I mean? But all these other countries, guess what they are really good at? Work, unfortunately. You build America from the inside out, not from the outside in Malaysia.
So this is our way really to come down. You don't change things by starting at the top. You change by starting at the bottom and educating and working, and you know what I mean? And that's how you have massive impact. And that's what blue collar revolution is all about, really.
No, I love it, man. And you're right. Plumbers, linemen, electrician, HVAC,
yes,
commercial, like diesel mechanics, auto mechanics, welders, all these different trades, even, painters. I'll throw painters in there. But all these people, and there's nothing wrong with hard work and working with your hands and going out and busting your ass and breaking a sweat and, doing a good job and getting a good paycheck. There's nothing wrong with that. And, here's the thing that, everybody was sold a bad bill of goods back in the 90s and early 2000s that, if you want to be successful in life, you don't want to end up like that garbage man over there, do you? Because you're going to have to go get yourself a degree. You need a 4-year degree to get a job that's worth a damn, so you can provide for your family and, have a nice house and all the nice things that life will provide for you. And it's like, Well, that trash can guy over there that's slinging trash cans, he's making $18 an hour. He's got full retirement and full health benefits and full dental benefits. You know, and you go to your accounting class, you can't get a job once you get done because the market's so damn saturated with accountants and humanities, you know, undergraduates and all this other crap. Like, they can't find any work.
Yes.
You know? So, I mean, go where the work's at. Go where the money's at.
They go get a 4-year business degree, and they end up working at Best Western for $13 an hour behind the front desk. That's literally what happens. You know what I mean?
I've got a bachelor's in business. Yeah, but you're a fucking cashier, okay? Don't kid yourself.
Yes. And so the only way we're going to break through is by giving good role models for these young kids, engaging them on social media, right? Coming up with kind of dumb little things that catches their attention and then drives them to that blue collar revolution, and start from the bottom, grassroots, work your way up, you know, and that's what we're doing with it.
Okay. You guys got to check out and see if you have like an FBA chapter in your area. So it's the Future Builders of America. I got involved with them one year through the American Welding Society. The section called down. They're like, hey, is anybody free next weekend to come out and do welding demos for a group of like 70 some odd kids out there in the middle of the woods? Cool. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I just got a small Lincoln 210 MP, and I threw that in the back of the truck, and an engine drive, my extension cord, and a small welding table, and cut out a bunch of little airplanes and stuff on the CNC plasma cutter. And I went out there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and taught people how to weld, and they made airplanes. Yeah. But the cool thing is they go from one station to the next, right? So like they've got a company out there that digs swimming pools. You know, so they learn about digging swimming pools. They have a company out there doing irrigation. So, you know, you got these group of 5 to 7 kids in each group, and they rotate through all these different trades. You know, they're out there making ductwork with the HVAC guys. They're installing a CMU wall for their trash cans and stuff. They're putting in, they're back there doing framing and carpentry, building sheds, you know, for the, who the hell is it? It's the 4-H. It's the Florida 4-H Council or whatever for the Future Farmers of America. Yep. That's the space that they provide, you know, so we can go out there and train these kids. But they're actually doing things that's going to leave a mark on that facility. Yeah. You know, so when they put that, you know, the CMU wall up for the dumpsters and stuff like that, that's a lasting thing. You know, those kids came back there and they built that. And then later on, when they get out into the trades, they've been exposed to 10, 12, 15 different trades over the course of a weekend. You know, now they've got a little bit of insight to what does an electrician do? You know, this HVAC system that's in my house, you know, like I learned how to make that ductwork and put the, you know, smear the mud and put the tape on there and insulate it and all this stuff. And I got to weld this weekend, and that was really cool. And, you know, here's what I welded, you know, and they go back and tell their friends. And now it's, you know, when their parents or their teachers are like, oh, you don't want to do that. And be like, bullshit, man, I had a blast. It was fun working with my hands.
Yeah,
you know,
rewarding. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think they've got chapters all throughout the United States. Look them up. It's the Future Builders of America. And then you guys can go out there and do weld demos, or, you know, bring the rig out there and stuff like that, because you guys are big into pipe and all that. You know, set it up and like show them. I think that's what it is it's exposure. You know, you got to expose this to them. The kids in high school, because they got rid of all the trades programs, and that's where they screwed up. Yep. You know, like my old high school, they don't have welding anymore. They don't have woodworking. They don't have pottery. They don't have, you know, engineered drawings. They got rid of all that because, oh, you don't need that. You know, you're gonna go to work. You're gonna get a business degree, and you're gonna work at the Best Western for $13 an hour, right?
Literally, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best part of that. That's literally a revolution, the blue collar revolution. Yeah. Tyler last month went down to Texas, and on his way back up, he hit about 44 states in America. Not really, but he hit a handful of schools and high schools, worked his butt off, and went down there and welded with these students, just like you were talking. That's part of our Blue Collar Revolution brand, is opening people's eyes like that. And Tyler, we just launched that last month, and we've been building it, but he went down there and he welded with a lot of these young guys, just like what you're saying. And
the Blue Collar Tour, we call it the Blue Collar Tour, and we're getting ready to do another one. And it's just, it was all organic. We shot it on social media. We're like, hey, here's our idea, right? It was TikTok and Instagram, you know what I mean? Like, here's our idea. We want to come to your school. And so we connected with the high school students, and you know, because we had like 2 proposed routes, like, should we go this way or should we go this way? And it was overwhelming to go east, right, with the comment section. That's how we gauge that. And so we shot another little video. It was like, hey, we're going to go this way now. Don't let us down. get your teacher on board and get them to invite us. Right. And the teachers, when we would show up, they were like, man, we were just dogpiled. Everybody was wanting you to come, and it was cool. Like, it was really cool to connect with those people all along the way and just talk about like what it means to be blue collar and why you should care and why you should be interested. And it was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah.
That's at the school I'm at. We're doing some workshops over the summer for, some of these students they're high school students, and we're going to expose them to, blue collar work. Yeah. Not just welding, but I mean, we have heavy equipment in our facility. We got a lineman program. There's a nursing assistance program, electronic board assembly, and mechatronics, which is like an industrial maintenance technician. But had these kids not, been a part of this tour or been a part of this summer camp, they probably never get exposed to that. The local guidance counselor isn't going to say, hey, you know what? You don't want to go to college? Cool. That's even better. You can be even more successful if you go down here and take the welding program or the mechatronics program, or hey, you thought those Tonka trucks were cool when you were a kid?
Go drive one.
You want to drive one? You want to go drive one? Like a real one?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff. And like, that's the cool thing. That's what I mean, like welding to me and structural steel ironwork, that's just Legos for adults, man. I used to just lose myself for hours playing with Legos as a kid, just building random shit. And now now somebody's going to pay me for it.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Right.
Pay me $100,000 a year to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Bag that $13 Best Western job,
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah.
You ever had a terrible job where you just stare at the ceiling and you're like looking at the clock and you're just like, when does it end?
No, I never have.
No, not when you're working with your hands.
No.
It's like freaking going and reading a book for me, or like going to the library. Like, it's just not something I am. And that's, if you get your, working with your hands and that's you, like that, there's nothing better than that. Nothing more to be proud about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tangible.
There's a sense of pride and a sense of ownership in it, man. And I think being blue collar is something to be proud of. And now you see like all the apparel and stuff, like people are rocking blue collar trades.
Yes.
It's not being looked down on. And all the time, I meet up with all kinds of people that are in the white collar world, and that, they're like, oh, so what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a welder, or, I teach welding. And they're like, the look of like regret in their eyes. You always sit there like, man, I was going to do that when I got out of school, but I took this path instead. It's like, man, welding's really cool. I wish I would have like done that and stuck with it. Or, hey, if you're not busy next weekend, you think you can come over and teach me how to do that? They get excited about it. Yeah. So, I mean, the tide is slowly changing. You're starting to see more people respect people in blue collar.
Yes.
Because they know at the end of the day, they don't have the work ethics themselves to get out there and do it, but it's got to be done.
That's right.
Buildings have to be built. Cars have to be assembled. They have to be repaired. Roads have to be paved and built. Bridges have to be welded together.
Yep.
Guess what? When some crazy Russian coup hacks the freaking power grid and the petroleum, everybody starts realizing how damn necessary pipe welders are.
Yes.
Like shit, maybe we shouldn't have voted down that Keystone Pipeline.
That might be a thing.
Maybe it'll come back like always.
Yeah. I mean, that's where my gas comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, you said petroleum. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's gasoline. Oh, yeah, no shit. Like, right? I mean, let's put two and two together.
Yeah.
You can't put gas in the trash bag.
Yeah, don't put gas in the trash bag. Don't put it in the freaking don't put it in a freaking Sterilite container. Don't fill up your gallon milk jugs with it.
Yeah. Well, and also, who was deemed essential in this whole pandemic? Right?
Welders.
Yeah. Blue collar and the welders are like, I mean, duh, dummy. Turns out we need those people, and you're absolutely right. The whole idea of like, when I travel a ton, right? And I like to sit in business class, right? But periodically there's no room and I sit in first class, but I prefer to sit in business class because that's where the entrepreneurs are and that's where the interesting people are. But I can't tell you how many times I've been in an airport or been on an airplane and the dude, he's like, turns to me, he's like, so what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a welder. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm sorry, and it's like, look, what they don't realize. And my story maybe be a little bit unique, but it's not, there's thousands of people all across the country that have got a very similar story as me. I dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old. my best year ever as an employee working by the hour, I made $352,000, right? Tell me who can say that. Oh, okay, yeah, you got a 4-year degree over there. You want to compare paychecks? Literally? Do you want to? Like, we can go there, and it's, we got to change the way people think about blue collar. And that's the whole thing with the blue collar revolution. Change the hearts and minds. The rest will follow,
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, but I mean, that's always that $100K a year salary. We've talked about it several times on the show. It's kind of like the exception to the rule, depending on what are you willing to give up.
Absolutely.
Right. Because you're not going to make $100K a year going down to your local manufacturing facility and welding up widgets and stuff all day. No. You've got to be willing to travel. You got to go where the work's at. You got to go where people are paying that money.
Yes. Where is your commitment? Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we've got a little thing. We've coined the blood, sweat, tears. Will you give blood, sweat, tears? Because you can literally put the number at the bottom line. You can make it. You know what I mean? I've got welder buddies that have done way better than I did. That was just my best year working as a welder. Right. But if you are willing and able to give the blood, sweat, and tears and the commitment, like, dude, sky's the limit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that freaking welder hater goes back to that. Those welder haters, those guys that don't like people that work with their hands because they can't do it or they're not, intellectually capable enough or whatever.
Have the patience for it. Whatever it is.
Those welder haters is because you're doing good in life and they couldn't do what they probably want, what they really enjoy. Like seeing, like deep down, they want to do that cool stuff. They want to freaking make fire, you know what I mean? At 10,000 degrees and have slag and sparks flying around them and wear cool work clothes, and cool welding hoods, stuff like that. You're not going to get that in, in an office or a cubicle punching keyboard.
Yeah. It's a nice stapler you got there, Derek.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the same ring to it. Be like, man, that's a badass lid,
Yeah. There's Stanley.
Why is it all black? Well, I caught on fire once. It's black right there because
there's a story to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that was some of the coolest times I had was my shittiest days out in the field.
Yeah.
Like those are some of my best memories. Is like some of the shittiest days. Like it's blazing hot, but the crane's up and swinging, and you're tying shit in, and you're up there and you're welding. You got sparks rolling down your boots. You're burning up. You're hanging on the iron, or you're doing whatever. And it's like, man, this sucks. I gotta do something else. But you look back and you're like, man, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, because it's at that moment that you realize you are all man.
Yeah,
like God made me to do this job right here, right? Like the worst day ever is 1,000 times better than sitting in a cubicle. I mean,
oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you go home and you're hurt and you're tired. But if it releases whatever that chemical is in your body, and it just feels so good. You know what I mean? There's nothing better than that feeling of building something, fixing something, making something that someone else can't. Like, just you feel good. And it kind of sucked right then and there when that beam flew across your head. You know what I mean? And it's freaking, the sun's beating on your neck and freaking your knees hurt or whatever. But you go home and it feels good.
Yeah. And then Friday rolls around, and you get that paycheck, and that's the best part ever.
Yeah, that's what makes it all worth it.
A little bit more. That's pretty darn good too.
Come back in on Monday. I'm going to do this again.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So how do you guys like line your students up with jobs once they get out? Like they want to break out, they want to get into pipeline. They show up on day one. They don't know how to weld. They don't have any tools. You take them through your program. How long is your program again?
6 months. Yep.
So 6 months later, they've amassed, a certain set of tools. They've got a hood, they got some work ethic about them. They got the skills. How do they break out in the pipeline so they can get on that track to make that good paycheck?
Yeah. So in one of the big things we saw with a lot of the 4-year colleges is that you would pay your tuition and then you would show up and they would be like, oh, by the way, there's all these books that you have to buy. And we didn't tell you about that. And so we kind of looked at that as the tooling, there's some opportunity to have some disgruntled people. So we took all the tools that were needed. Right. And I mean, we went
to do the trade.
We're trying
to set these people out.
Yes. obviously we don't give a welding machine, but all the hand tools, we give them a tool bucket, a hood of, the auto lens. I mean, everything's in there. And then what's been quite fascinating is that our social media has been such a powerful tool that essentially, we're marketing to a handful of different people, right? We're marketing to not only the prospects, the prospectful students, but I mean, we do a huge marketing campaign to employers, and it's not uncommon for an employer to call up and be like, dude, I've been watching Johnny for the past 3 weeks and I want Johnny. You know what I mean? Like, and so our outreach, we've actually in the beginning, we would call contractors and we would work with them and bring them in for tours and show them what we're doing and show how we're creating these real life scenarios. And that thing took off so like, it overwhelms me to think that in less than 2 years we've reached this point. But now we run a members only Facebook page. And as those manpower requests come in, right, because we can go and connect with these employers, but if we just kind of do what we do best and put our blood, sweat, and tears into those students, right, we're turning out these phenomenal salespeople, right? Because they're going to sell your service to the industry way better than us trying to convince these people. And so we've kind of actually like taken a little bit of a step back, and we run this members only Facebook page. And it's it's not a page, it's a group, it's a closed group, and only graduates have access to this. But as those manpower requests, because we did send a guy to them and now they want everybody we can produce, right? They're sending their manpower requests in, we dump it on the page and because there's a big power in letting the students you're not driving them towards one employer or another. Let them choose and let them work out the arrangement with the employer. And we've got 100% job placement. One of our the financial aid companies that we work with a handful of them. She calls me up, this has been a few months ago, and she says, Tyler, I want to tell you something, and I said, well, hit me with it. We've got a core value, like, if you think it, say it. You're never going to offend us, right? And we've had to kind of train these different vendors and people that we work with, like, because we're kind of brash to them, like, hey, this is what it is. And they're like, oh, golly, you know what I mean? And we're like, no, we want that same in return, cut through the mud, like, just tell me what it is. And she said, well, I want to tell you something, And I said, well, what is it? Hit me with it. And she said, out of all the thousands of schools that we work with in our portfolio, your school is the only one that not one student is not 1 day late on their payments. I was like, well, yeah, duh, dummy, because they're all working. You know what I mean?
Because they can afford it.
They're all at work. They don't have a reason.
It's amazing what you can do with your credit score when you can afford to pay your bills.
Yeah, and so those successes, we're pretty proud of them, and we reanalyze and relook, and we've got some pretty big things in the pipeline that we'll be coming out with. We're going to be making some announcements, in the next few weeks. I think that they'll be pretty shocking to the industry, and some of the new ideas that we've got and how to change and how that incorporates the blue collar revolution. And, we've got a host of things that we're doing that, the other core values is that we're never satisfied. We're not, we hit this point where, there's always something beyond. There's always a better way to do it. There's always a better way to innovate and adapt and overcome. That's what it's all about. So,
and we have an application process for obviously every staff faculty member. If they don't fit that, some of our or all of our values, we don't even mess with them. It's just not even worth it. Even down to our students, if they don't fit us, we're not going to waste their time, money, and ours. They have to fit
our
that.
Selection process is,
like we have, it's under 10% of the people that come in
that apply. Under 10% of them actually get accepted and become a student here.
Under 10% of them actually get to go weld out there.
How many students do you bring in per term?
So the most we can do, we don't do terms. Ours is set up like a job site in a sense where they trickle in and they trickle out. So every Monday we start new students, and every Friday we have graduates that graduate. Yeah. And so as of right now, the most we can do is 200 students in a year. So, we're small, like, we're not a, there's some big schools out there that are doing thousands of people. We're just doing small better. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're doing 200 students in a day. We're doing 200 students in a year.
What's their ratio? And their student ratio is like 30 to 1.
Yeah.
Student instructor. Yeah.
We're
yeah.
10. That's
yeah.
max.
Yeah. We're 10.
Right now we're 7-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. 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 And so it's, the trickle in, trickle out, we found it works really well because you've got everybody in the lab that is almost ready to graduate and they're or all the way to, day one, they just got there that week, you know what I mean? And it's cool because it's in a sense, like there's a point when you're learning to weld, you and you know this, I mean, you hit this kind of like disheartening, like, oh man, like, do I have what it takes? Right. And what's great about having those other guys there that are about ready to graduate, they're like, no, stay in there, buddy. You know what I mean? Like I had the same thing, you know what I mean? And we've actually got a little graph that we draw on the wall for them, to show them like, this is what it looks like to get to becoming a welder, and, but yeah, I don't know. It's been quite a ride, and to be able to give back and use some of the tools that, I've had a really, really blessed career, and to be able to give back to the industry in the way that we're doing it's been phenomenal. It really has.
That's really cool. I'm glad that you're passionate about giving back too. I think I've said it before, that's the cool thing about the welding community, especially, the ones that grew up during our generation. Like we didn't have that opportunity. And now it just seems like all the people that, I run into, like when I go out and did the Outlaw Leather event with you, when we did the underwater welding and stuff, everybody's got that same mentality, I had a rough road to hoe growing up, and in this trade, and I kind of had to learn and beg, borrow, and steal all the knowledge and everything that I got. And, we've hit this time in our life where it's like, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to give back to the trade that gave so much to me.
Yep.
Whereas the generation that was ahead of us, they're like, man, I ain't going to teach you nothing because you're going to steal my job if I teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
We don't have that mentality. I haven't ran into anybody that's like our age, our generation, that's not willing to give back to the community freely.
Yes, because that's a small-minded. That's small-minded, and only through abundance-minded kind of. If we can get our society to that point where it's free information and there's free access, and like you can be anything you want to be. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like it's up to you to put them work boots on at 4:30 every morning. You know what I mean? Like nobody else is going to do that for you. But you're absolutely right. A lot of those old guys, they were worried that you were going to take their job, and they don't want to show you anything. And we're not that way. We're super passionate about it. We've actually made a really, really like strong effort to connect with other welding schools and kind of like network with them and say, hey, here's some of the challenges we figured out, and what have you figured out, and let's work together. Like this is a deal that we have to collectively work together to solve this issue in our nation. It's not, oh well, I got my little pile over here, and like don't like them guys, like now like it's going to take all of us to get this society back on track and get us competing better on a global scale. I mean, it's going to take all of us. We got to work together,
Yeah.
And with that, like, I know Jason Tyler, like, you helped that guy out one day. Guess what happened later on? He called you. He's like, hey, you want a job?
Yeah,
that's how it works.
That's how it works.
And then he's like, he tells his buddy, and then a year later, this random number calls you, and you're like, hey, you want to come work for me?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Like that's how that works. If you don't help them out, like you're just stagnant. Nothing's going to happen in life.
Yeah.
You're missing opportunities.
Yeah. Yes. You put in and you will get out. I promise you that. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what are you looking for in your instructors? I mean, like, what are your requirements when you bring an instructor on? Like, you got somebody that wants to, like, hey, I want to go teach at Western Welding Academy. Like, what do I have to do? What's the requirements to get in and kind of share my passion with your students and be part of your program?
Yeah. So minimum, they got to have 7 years in the field. They got to have been there, done it,
not running the job trailer.
Yes. Yeah. They can't be Stanley over there. You know what I mean? They've got to have been there. And what's unique about it is every one of our instructors has, some life experience has led them to the point where they're willing to make less money than they could in the field, obviously. Right. Whether it's a special needs child or a wife that's pretty angry and wants you to quit traveling or whatever it may be. Right. But they got to have 7 years, and they got to be passionate about giving back. And we put them on this little 4-month trial period because, I'm willing to, I want to do this, do you really? Like on a job, we get this win at the end. There's a big old W. When we get this thing laid out and tied in and finished up, like, we won. We get to go home, or we go to the next one.
Yeah.
Just about the time you convince this dude to quit spitting on the floor and burn his rods all the way to the numbers, he graduates. And there's somebody else in line. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the challenge. Like, and so we put them through a 4-month trial period, and if at the end of the 4 months, if they're still just loving it and they're, you know what I mean? If they're truly passionate about it and they fit our core values, boom, like we seal the deal and we hang on to them, you know? It's a thing.
Also, and then our instructors too, just like a job, they have to pass a test. If we don't personally know them, even the guys we personally knew,
everybody tests. Yep.
Test them just like a job, and not just a stick test, plate, 3G. We'd all the way up to TIG and then the branch layout, stuff like that. They got to know how to do that stuff, because that's what we teach. A student comes in here blind. A blind guy might not know you're handing him a strawberry until he eats it. These students are blind too. They don't know. So they're going to believe anything that they're told.
Yeah.
So our instructors have to know what they're teaching. So just like a job, you know, you can't go to a job and weld stainless unless you know how to weld stainless.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That's how we got to we test every single instructors.
Yeah. Yeah. And so part of our interview process is, number one, you know, making sure that they're a core value fit. You know, fundamentally, we want everybody on our team needs to kind of bleed the same blood that we do. And if they get through that process, and then they get to spend a full day with Danny and I, and we just make the rounds in the booth, you know what I mean? And we kind of prearrange some of that, make sure the student's going to have something tacked up, and we'll just pop in there and I'll be like, hey man, I'll weld half, you weld half. And that's what we do. We kind of run them through the ringer. Like it's pretty intense. We don't give them a break all day, you know what I mean? And if they perform through that, then we give them a welding test. And if they make that welding test, which by that point, we already know whether they're, you know, cut of the same cloth or not. And then we make them an offer.
Because welders are very, very good actors.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, man, I've done it all.
Oh yeah.
And they ain't done it all.
Yeah.
They did at the bar. They talked about doing it all.
Oh yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So we kind of, we're pretty sticklers, because we've got this great reputation, but I mean, dude, Danny and I and Nathan and, you know, a couple other people here at the team, we've literally worked 18-hour days for almost 2 years now to make this a reality. And, you know, you just got to guard that. You know what I mean? You don't just want anybody walking up in here, no matter how much of a bind you're in, right? You gotta do your due diligence and really make sure that it's just no different. I mean, they got to have that commitment, you know? And
yeah.
Even our students are like that. It just happens with whatever people we freaking mesh with real well. They don't want to stop. They want to be here on weekends. They find out, they see our truck parked outside the school. They're beating on the door on Saturdays, and we're like,
we're here every Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we run a full-blown 6-day-a-week operation. I mean, we, you know, of course, class 2 shifts, Monday through Friday. But
16, 17 hours a day of school.
Yeah.
Really?
Two 8-hour. We run 2 8-hour shifts. Yeah, 6 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night. But then Danny and I and the team, we're here every Saturday. You know what I mean? There's all the catch-up stuff and admin, and I mean,
yeah,
it's a big time. It's a full-blown deal. I mean, this is, you know,
a lot of like that. Just, I gotta interrupt you. Like, some people, they just like, oh, you're an instructor. That ought to be just nice, huh? Like, that's an awful easy job you got. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, no, like, you think this is easy?
Yeah.
Like, you think it was easy when you were learning how to weld? Now imagine when you're trying to help others do that.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy, and that's not, you don't build anything cool. People aren't going to come to you if, you know what I mean? You're not going to get elected president if you just sat in the background all the rest of your whole life. You're not going to, you know.
That's not true. Joe Biden did it.
Yeah. He didn't get elected, though.
Okay, well, maybe, yeah.
But yeah. So that's kind of, that's crazy how we've just amazing kind of some of the people that we're just surrounded with. It's just like a magnet.
Yeah, no, we've been very, very blessed.
Yeah, James Packard.
Yeah, the
Chase.
unicorn. Have we?
You need to meet the unicorn.
Yeah, we need to introduce you to the unicorn. We call him the unicorn because you can go through your whole life in search of people like James Packard and never find them, and so he's the unicorn. And I've actually got Outlaw's building him a hood. Don't tell him, because he doesn't know yet. But Outlaw's building him a hood with some unicorns on it, and it says the unicorn, James the Unicorn Packard right on it. We're pretty proud of it. I can't wait to give it to him. Yeah. So
well, we might have to cut that out in post, because the episode will roll.
Yeah. He's on vacation now, so I imagine it'll be a little while before he gets back.
Where is he?
Another week.
Next week. Where is he at right now?
Some island, like Belize or
Bali. No,
Bali. Is it Bali?
I
I don't even know. He took 2 weeks off, and he's been sending us TikTok videos. This is what welding will get you, people. You know, he's out on the beach laying there. I mean, it's cool.
True.
Yeah,
that's literally what you can do. Yeah. Anything you want with welding.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to track him down now. You piqued my interest.
Yeah. He is literally just superhuman, like just a boss. Yeah.
And that's just one of them.
That's just one of them. Yeah. That's just a unicorn. Yeah.
We got the Pondermatic.
Yeah.
Pondermatic.
We're gonna have to get you up here, Jason.
Yeah, I'd love to, man.
Yeah. We'd love to have you.
I bet you those freaking kids would love to have you out here too.
Yeah. Next welding competition, we should get you up here.
We'll do a beard contest next weld competition.
We did a mullet competition this year.
I gotta start pulling on this, see if I can get it grow, man. I gotta catch up to Danny. Dude, I had it. It was probably another 6 to 8 inches about this time last year when I shaved it down to an inch.
Yeah.
And I regret it because it would have been wizardly at this point.
Yeah. We need to do that. Yeah. This year we did a mullet competition. We'll do a beard competition.
You and I, let's judge this beard competition next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When are you guys planning on doing the competition?
Oh, should we do it April 24th again?
It'll be April. Yeah. I don't know exactly the date. We haven't set it yet, but we will. It'll be in April.
Okay. I'll have to get with you because I think I'm doing one with KWI in April, and then that's usually when we host our welding competition too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, April's National Welding Month, so everybody's trying to get them in, all April.
That's how we did it this year. We got with all the guys that we were just super jacked on wanted up here. We kind of sculpted our competition to the freaking guys.
Yeah, that what worked on their schedule. So
okay,
we get a little closer. We'll hit you up and because we'll be talking to a bunch of different people that we want to bring. But
I'd love to get up there, man. I've never been up there, so that'd be really cool.
We had over 100 contestants this year.
Yeah,
nice.
Up, freaking was crazy.
Yeah,
a lot of rod.
Oh man, yeah. We had literally people come from all the way across the country to come to this thing.
New Jersey, New York.
Yep. Mississippi, Florida. Texas. Yeah, Washington. I mean, it was cool. Yeah, we've been super fortunate to have the impact in the industry that we've had. It's been and I like to say, I mean, we're just getting started.
I mean, we even had welding instructors come here and compete. Not just high school welding instructors, like full blown other academies and colleges.
Yeah.
So no kidding.
Cool.
We're not we're like friends. It's all family. We're not in competition with them. Like we're just one big family, and it was just a blast. Yeah, it was literally a party.
Yeah, it was awesome. So,
I have to get up there, man.
Enjoy it. Yeah, yeah. Come on up. I'll take you around. I'll show you some open range. Get you. We got antelope on 2-inch centers here. I mean, there's some really cool things. Wyoming's pretty unique. Gillette. That's the energy capital of the nation. There's more energy produced here than anywhere else. I think like 40% of the nation's coal comes from Gillette. I mean, it's a huge mining town, huge oil field, gas.
Natural gas.
It's crazy. Big power plants. We got a ton of power plants here. I mean, it's I think we're the least populated state in America, but we've got more energy that's produced here than anywhere else. I mean, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of industry here.
We, in fact, are the least populated state in America.
Yeah. 580,000 people in our whole state,
Really?
You probably got that in a suburb.
We got that in Orlando. Yeah, I got that in Orlando, man. Yeah. And that's not even during tourist season.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and that students, they come in from big cities like that. They're like, man, they're like, literally I joke about the horses and stuff. They thought we rode horses on the daily here. Like they're blown away. Like, and obviously we don't ride horses every day. Every once in a while we do, but like, it's just, they get to come out here and they definitely expose them to stuff that they might not ever see. Change people's lives.
Yep. One rod at a time.
That's cool as shit, man. So where can people find more information about Western Welding Academy?
Yeah, so any of our social platforms, we've got a special link in there. If you go the link in the bio, click on that, and pretty much everything that we do is in there. Western Welding Academy is on there. The Blue Collar Revolution's on there. Our Weld USA store is on there. We do a weekly high school giveaway on there. Everything is in our. It's kind of like a link tree. It's a solo page, so we've got multiple different avenues and we're getting ready to add a couple more little added. And there's an advocacy network that we're getting ready to put on there that'll really help people promote, the pipeline networks and some things like that.
Tyler's giveaways.
Yeah.
It pissed me off. I don't like giving away money, and Tyler's just out here giving high school students welding machines.
Hey, it's what it's all about. Yeah.
Tyler, what did that cost? Oh, it's good cause.
Yeah, we've got a big, huge giveaway that's actually we're getting ready to come out with.
Okay.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I mean, how do you support the blue collar revolution? Really is share this video, share this podcast, right? Tell your friends about it. Any of the links on any of our social platforms, Western Welding Academy, Weld USA, any of those places are good avenues to get started. And if you click the link in the bio, you'll pretty much know what to do from there on out. So
we got a little bot, even our website, when you get to it, you got any questions, like we have a little bot. It'll answer your questions for you. It'll give you the, different topics, all on our website. It's pretty user friendly.
Yeah. Yep.
So easy a welder could do it?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we built it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Us and some kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we dumbed it down definitely for the
welder. Yeah.
The people that, don't want to just work smarter and they just want to work hard and smarter. We dumbed it down for them guys.
Work hard, get paid. I think I'm gonna coin that.
Yeah, man. Put that on a t-shirt. Put it on a ball cap.
Yeah. Work hard, get paid. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. It was great having you guys on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to checking out your welding competition next year. And likewise, we put ours on. I'll invite you down over here.
Absolutely.
We'll go hit up some roller coasters and weld some pipe.
Absolutely.
We'd
love to come to that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Any collaborations we can do. We're really passionate about that. Yeah. Yeah. And you are, so the world knows, you are officially invited, Jason Becker, to the 2022 Western Welding Academy welding competition.
You calling them out?
I'm calling right now. You're invited. You're invited.
All right, I'll be there, man.
I'll tell you the date when we get a little closer, but
all right,
you're invited.
You're invited, but I'm not going to tell you what the date is. You just got to keep showing up. Hopefully, you hit the right day in April.
Yeah.
We don't want to give away all our secrets.
Right.
So,
well, great guys. I definitely appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this episode of the Arc Junkies podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please swing by and give me a rating and a review. It really helps me out. If you're enjoying the show, please share it with someone else who you think also would enjoy it. I'll have another episode out for you next Monday for your listening pleasure. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.